Okay, yesterday we were discussing about the difference between virtual circuit and datagram, right? So datagram we have already finished. So as far as virtual circuit is concerned, okay, so it is also both are packet switching, right? But so it is connection oriented. This one datagram switching is connection less packet switching, whereas it is connection oriented packet switching, right? So in case of datagram, what happens? As we have discussed, so every packet is independently routed, so there is no connection establishment, right? So every packet should contain sufficient information so that helps the intermediate switches to route the packet so to the destination, right? That means every packet should contain the full destination address, right? Using which the switches in between, so they will be executing the routing algorithm and they will be forwarding the packet so towards the destination, right? So though the packets are heading to the same destination, so they may be routed along different routes. Okay, that is possible. That is possible. Okay, and connectionless routing or datagram routing, datagram switching. So it is said to be it is unreliable connectionless protocol, right? So the packets that are sent, okay, so they may not reach the destination in the same order, right? And there are chances that the packets may be lost because it is highly unreliable. Whereas, and one more advantage, this one of connectionless, that is datagram, is so in case of congestion, okay, or in case of congestion or in case of failure of any of the intermediate switches or the links, okay, so then that it doesn't have impact. It doesn't have much impact because so only the packets so that are in the transit, okay, that are in the transit, they will be affected because other packets can be routed uh, through other routes, okay, so bypassing the location where the failure is there, whether the switch has failed or link has failed, okay, so the impact is not much. Whereas in case of connection oriented switching, what happens? So because the connection is established first, okay, in the connection oriented or circuit switching, so the connection all the way from source to destination, it is established. So we call it as a virtual circuit, okay. So every router or a switch will maintain what? So the different virtual circuits that are going through it. Okay, the different virtual circuits that are going through it, right? So what it does here, so because since the connection is established first, so all the packets will be following the same path. Okay, all the packets will be following the same path. So that means here the packets need not maintain the full destination address. Okay, so they need not maintain the full destination address. Okay, so why? Because connection is already established. Okay, so but every switch, what it will do, so every switch, so we'll just look at, so on which virtual circuit number the packet is coming and what port it is coming. Okay, so looking into the virtual circuit number and the port number, so looking into its forwarding table, okay, so the switch will decide on which output port the packet is to be transmitted on which virtual circuit number. So that's how they see in this case. In this case, as you see now here, so host A, okay, host A is sending a packet, okay. So now the connection is already established. So host A is sending a packet so that contains the virtual circuit number. This 5 is the virtual circuit number, okay. So and it is sent on port number 2, input port 2. Now after receiving this, so what this switch does is it looks into its table, okay. So the packet is coming on virtual circuit number 5 on port number 2. If you just see here, so in this case, now you just see, so the packet is coming on port number, this interface means port number. So on port number 2 on virtual circuit number 5. So what it will do, it will look into its table and then it will decide, so for this, okay, sorry, the packet that is coming on incoming virtual circuit number 5 and port number 2, so it will forward on outgoing port number 1 and virtual circuit number 11. So if you just see the same thing, okay, so it is going to forward it on port number 1 and virtual circuit number 11, right? So once it comes to this switch, again it will refer, okay, the packet is coming on virtual circuit number 1 and input port 3, okay, input port 3. So what it has to do, so it will just see, so packet is coming on port number 3 and virtual circuit number 1. So what it will do, it will forward it on outgoing circuit number 7 and output port 3, output port 2, okay. So that is what it does. You just see here, sorry, so what is that, so this one, okay. So outgoing virtual circuit number 7 and output port 2, if you just see here, so that's what, so virtual circuit number 7 output port 2. So once it comes here, okay, so this switch 3, what it will do, so it will, because the packet is coming on virtual circuit number 7 and input port 0, so input port 0, if you just see, incoming virtual circuit number is 7, so input port is 0, what it has to do, so it has to transfer it to outgoing port, it is 1 and virtual circuit number 4, if you just see, so that is what it does, okay. So this is transferred to this one, okay. So output port 1 and virtual circuit number, whatever that is, which word it is, virtual circuit number 4, okay. So that's how the routing is done. So one advantage in case of virtual circuit is, so the packets need not maintain the complete destination address, okay, that header part, so it will be very less. So they need to maintain only the virtual circuit number, so it doesn't consume much, because destination address, IP addresses, they consume 32 bits. So source IP address, destination IP address, they consume 32 bits, whereas virtual circuit number, it is a small, so hardly, so 8 bits is sufficient for that, okay. So the header part is less in case of virtual circuits, okay, and the routing is also fast and it is connection oriented, it is very much reliable, okay. The order in which the packets are transmitted, in the same order they are received at the destination, okay. So one disadvantage is that, so whenever there is a failure of a intermediate switch or a link, so then the entire connection comes to halt, okay. So suppose you have established connection from host to A to host B using some intermediate routers. If a particular router is broken, so then what happens? It affects the entire session, okay, because the connection is already established through that switch, but that switch is down now. So then it is going to affect, the impact is more in case of virtual circuit, okay. So these are the things. So you need to know the difference between virtual circuit switching and the datagram switching, okay. So any doubts in this? Any doubts? Yes, any doubts are there?
No, sir.
Okay, so, and one more thing is, in case of virtual circuit, what happens? So whenever host A sends a data to host B, so the host B will send an acknowledgement. Okay, that is why it is said to be reliable, right? Host A, whenever it sends a packet, okay, so after receiving that packet, host B will send an acknowledgement. So that acknowledgement uh, will be received by the sender, that is host A. And one more thing is, so the one additional thing here is, since, so there is some time consumed, so in connection establishment, is it not? So before the data transfer takes place, so there is a connection establishment, okay, source all the way from source to destination, connection has to be established, okay. So how this connection is established, so along the different routers in between. So that means the control packet, I am telling you, this control packet has to go all the way from source, so through all the routers in between, and finally to the destination host, okay, requesting for the connection. Are you getting my point? So the control packet, it is not the data packet, the control packet, so it is for a request for a establishment of connection. So the control packet has to go all the way from host A, so through the intermediate routers or switches to the destination host B. Okay. So if host B accepts the connection, so then an acknowledgement from host B will follow the same path and it will come back to host A. So that means, so there is, what is that time duration called as? So the connection request goes from all the way from host A to host B, and the acknowledgement from host B comes back to host A. So the time consumed during this time, so what is that called as? Hmm? Yes, we have discussed this. All the way from source, the connection request goes to host B. Then host B will acknowledge. So the acknowledgement comes back to host A. So the time duration for whatever that is consumed for this, it is called by some name. What is that?
Time out period, sir.
What is that?
Time out period.
No. Not timeout period. It is round trip time. So it is control connection establishment. I am telling you. Okay, round trip time. Okay. So that timeout period, as we discussed in case of transmission of a frame. Suppose I send a frame. Okay, if I send a data frame, it is. I send a data frame, and for having received it, the receiver should acknowledge. Okay, so that is for after sending every frame, the sender will start a timer. So if the acknowledgement doesn't come, then it is a timeout. That is different. Okay, so here the thing is the source. It is not just a sender. The source will send a control frame. Control frame, that means it is a request frame, request packet. So that request packet goes through the path that is selected all the way to the destination, so receiver, okay, that host B, and after receiving the connection request, so host B will acknowledge. Host B will acknowledge, and that acknowledgement through the same path it comes back to our the source. So that time that is consumed, it is 1 RTT, round trip time. Okay. So that is the additional burden here. Okay. So this is not in case of datagram switching because there is no connection establishment in case of datagram switching. Okay. So all these points you should remember, and in case the question is asked, so what is the distinguish between virtual circuits and datagrams? So you should so write it elaborately, right? So all these points you should remember and you should write them neatly. Okay. So yes, so that's all. So we need to discuss about. I just wanted to discuss about virtual circuits and datagrams, right? So these things. Okay. So this is what happens in case of X21. X21 is a packet switched network. Okay. So that uses connection oriented model and employs the following three. So now what happens? Now along, see, please remember this. Now source, host A and host B are there. So in between there are some, what are there? There are some switches. Okay. Now, once you establish the connection, so all the way from source to destination along the different switches, intermediate switches. Okay. Once the connection is accepted by the destination host. Okay. Now, what happens? These intermediate switches, so they have to allocate some buffers for this connection. Because what happens whenever a request goes from host A to first switch, let us say. So first switch, what it has to do? It has to accept the data. It has to accept that data. Okay. So that switch may be busy. So there should be some space in the buffer to receive the packet. Okay. So and then after receiving the packet, so the switch has to execute a routing. It has to, for looking into it the forwarding table, it has to forward the incoming packet onto the outgoing port. Okay. So once it goes to the next switch, so the next switch also should have buffer to store this packet. Okay, buffer to store this packet. Okay, that is why we say So buffers are allocated to each virtual circuit. So when the circuit is initialized, okay. So whenever the connection is established, so along the connection, each and every switch will allocate some buffers for this particular virtual circuit. Suppose assume that from host A to host B, the connection is established through multiple switches in between. So that means, so since the connection is established, okay, so the intermediate buffers, they have to allocate some buffers. Okay, suppose assume that there are 50 buffers in each switch. So then for this virtual circuit, so they have to allocate maybe around 4 or 5 buffers. Okay, 4 or 5 buffers for this particular virtual circuit. So because whenever a packet on this virtual circuit number comes, so the switch should be able to store that in the buffer, and then process it and forward it to the outgoing line. Okay. So yeah, so it uses sliding window protocol and all that. So see, the circuit is rejected. See, suppose the switch doesn't have, because whatever the buffers that are there, so they have been used by different virtual circuits. So for a new connection, so there are no buffers. Okay, in that case the circuit is rejected by the given node. Okay, so the switch will reject the connection request if not enough buffers are available, right? Suppose a new request goes. Okay, then what happens if a switch doesn't have buffers? Okay, because what 50 buffers it had, so all those 50 buffers have been used by, so for different virtual circuits. Now whenever a new connection request goes to the particular switch, so that it can reject because it doesn't have sufficient number of buffers for this new virtual circuit request, so that is why it will reject it. Is it clear? If not enough buffers are available, so at that node, so when the connection request message is processed, if the connection request goes to that switch, so if enough buffers are not available, so then it can reject that request. Is that clear? See that comparison of datagrams and virtual circuits. Okay, and virtual circuit, okay, so it can it is very much useful in achieving the quality of service requirement, because whenever the connection is established, so the connection is established in the sense what, so whatever the resources that are required for the connection, so they have been allocated well in advance. So that is why, so we are able to meet the quality of service requirement. Okay. And this ATM, asynchronous transfer mode, it also uses, it is a connection oriented packet switching. So these things you should remember, right? So in the interviews and all, so they may ask, so ATM uses what? Okay. So ATM uses, so connection oriented packet switch network it is. Okay. And the one important thing about ATM is that it is having a fixed packet. Okay. So what is the size of the packet? It is 53 bytes. So 48 bytes of data and 5 bytes of header. So every packet in ATM, so it is of 53 bytes. So these packets are called as cells in case of ATM. Okay, please make a note of it if you don't know, right? So ATM network, it uses connection oriented packet switching, and one advantage here is every packet is of size 53 bytes. So out of 53, 48 bytes are for data, and remaining 5 bytes it is header. So it is very much useful in meeting the quality of service requirement. So this is the ATM. Okay, this is the ATM. What you can say, packet format. Okay, so as we have seen, so this is 48 bytes of header. So then remaining 5 bytes. Okay, totally it is 5 bytes. 5 bytes means 40 bits. So it is reserved for these header fields. Okay, so this is for CRC. So then CLP is cell loss priority. So then type of packet. Okay, so then VCI, virtual circuit identifier, because it is a packet, it is a circuit switched or connection oriented. So VCI, then VPI. So because Now what happens VCI and VPI? So this is VCI is virtual circuit identifier, right? So VPI is virtual path identifier. So several virtual circuits are bundled together into a path. So that means that different virtual circuits that are heading towards the same, what you can say, path. Okay. So they are all, the different virtual circuits are bundled together into a path. Okay. So that is called as virtual path identifier. So these several virtual path identifiers, so they are again bundled together into a big cable. Okay. And yeah, so after this, in the beginning only we had said, so there are three types. There are basically three types of switching. One is datagram switching, another one is virtual circuit switching, and the third one, which is rarely used, that is source routing. We had seen. Okay, source routing. So in case of source routing, as we discussed earlier, so this packet, okay, the packet will contain the entire the path, the complete path, so that the packet has to traverse all the way from source to destination. Now this packet is going from host A to host B. Okay, so the path that is to be taken by this, so it is given in this. Now you just see here, so it is 301. So that means the first interface, this switch, what it will do, okay, this switch has nothing to do, it need not refer to any table, because the the output port on which this packet is to be sent, so it is in this only. So now one, so it is one, that means it will be sent on this port number one, output port one, right? So here it is output port one, so it comes to input port 3, input port 3. Okay, see now one thing, so this one, what happens, it comes back to this. Okay, so now it becomes 130, 130. So it is rotation. Okay, this one comes back to this, so it becomes 130. Please remember this. So now this comes to 3. Okay, now once it comes on port number 3, what happens here, it should be sent on port number 0, output port number 0. So again it comes back to this, so it is 013. So it comes here, it comes here. So now it is 013. So the packet has come on 0. So now where it has to be forwarded? Output port 3. So the output port 3. So this is how the entire routing information, the different interfaces along the different switches, okay, where it has to be forwarded. So that entire routing information will be available in the packet itself. Okay, will be available in the packet itself. That is why it is called as source routing. It is called as source routing. Is it clear? See, this is 301. So how 301 has become 130 here? So this one, so after forwarding it along this output port 1, so this one, it is rotated. So 130 it becomes. So now it comes on port number 3. So this has to be forwarded on port number output port 0. So this 0 comes here. So it becomes 013. Okay, now it has come on this. So where it has to be forwarded? Output port 3. Output port 3 it is forwarded. Is it clear? So any doubts? See, all the information about the network topology that is required to switch a packet across the network is provided by the source host only. Okay, it is provided by the source host only. The intermediate switches, they need not do anything. So whatever that is mentioned, so which output port it is to forward, that is available as a part of packet only. So only that is they have to do it. Okay, is it clear? Source routing, is it clear? Yes. Any doubts? Hello, please speak out.
No, sir.
Okay,
No, sir.
so I think so. Let me unlock the meeting if there are any. Okay, fine. So see, this is the approaches. These are the different approaches. Now, if you just see, so one approach, okay, this is regarding source routing only. So whatever we have seen just now. See, if the header entering the switch, if it is DCBA, so now what the switch will assume? So it has to be, the incoming packet has to be moved to outgoing line A, outgoing line A. So then what it will do, there is a circular rotation. So A comes here. Now you just see, so A comes here, so it will be ADCB, ADCB. This is one approach. This is one approach. Okay. So the second approach is, so if the incoming packet contains this header, so that means the output, the incoming packet has to be forwarded on outgoing line A, outgoing line A. So then what happens? So this, after transmitting this, it is terminated. So this is deleted. This part is deleted. So you have only DCB. You have only DCB. So now with this DB, it goes to the next switch. So again, this B will be removed. So it will have only DC. That is another approach. That is another approach. So the different approaches that are used in source routing. So then here, another approach, it is using pointer. Okay. So this pointer, it will point to the output port that is to be taken. So it is pointing to A now. So when it goes to A, when it goes to a particular switch, so it looks into the pointer. So a pointer is pointing to A. So that means the incoming packet is moved along uh, output port A, output port A. So then what happens? So next, so the pointer will be pointing to B now. Okay, so the next switch will forward it along port number B. Okay, so these are the different approaches to implement source routing. Okay, so that's all about this one. Okay, so that is datagram switching, circuit based switching, connection oriented switching, and source routing. So then we move on to the bridges and switches. Okay, so bridges, as I said, so these are the devices that are used at the data link layer. These are the devices that are used at data link layer. And also one thing you remember, these bridges are used to extend your LANs. Okay, suppose I have one LAN, okay, in one room, another LAN in another room. So if I want to connect these two to extend my LAN, so then what I can do? So these two LANs can be connected using a bridge, using a bridge. A bridge is a device that connects two or more local area networks. Its main purpose is to extend the LAN, extend the LAN. Okay. So known as LAN switches. Okay, these bridges are also called as LAN switches. Okay, they refer to. So suppose you have a pair of Ethernet. Okay, Ethernet LAN. Ethernet means it is LAN. So that you want to interconnect. Okay, if you have two pairs of, if you have a pair of Ethernet LANs that you want to interconnect, so one approach is to, so use a repeater. So repeater, again I tell you, repeater is a physical layer device. Okay, so you can use the two LANs can be connected using a repeater at a physical layer, at the physical layer. Okay, so but the thing is, what is the problem if you use a repeater? It might exceed the physical limitation of the Ethernet. It might exceed, because for LAN what happens? So the distance between two uh, nodes so cannot be more than 1 or 2 kilometers. Okay, so that is why. So that is the problem. Okay, as the distance increases, so then the quality of service goes down. Okay, quality goes down. So that is why. So this can be overcome. See, the problem is the distance between the two nodes, so cannot be more than 2.5 kilometers, 2.5 kilometers, right? So if you are using a repeater, okay, so that can be overcome by using a bridge. Okay, so that means interconnection of two LANs at physical layer is going to be a little bit problematic, because the distance between two nodes, because ultimately it becomes a single LAN. Okay, ultimately it becomes a single LAN. So, but you should ensure that the distance between two nodes in the LAN should not go beyond 2.5 kilometers. Okay, if you are interconnecting two LANs at physical layer. But if you interconnect two LANs at data link layer, so then this problem will be solved. Okay, you can extend the LAN by using so a node that is called as a bridge. Okay, okay. So the simplest strategy for bridges accept LAN frames on their input and forward them to all other output ports. So this is what is just a normal case of whatever the hub does. Okay. So accept the LAN frames, because he talks about frames here, because it is we are speaking about, because bridges are used at which layer? Data link layer. So in data link layer, we use the term frames. For data unit, we use the term frames. Okay. So what this bridge does is, so again, just like a switch, it is having several ports, right? So it receives, bridge will receive the frames on input port, and that frame is copied onto all the outgoing ports. Okay. So now nowadays, so observe that there is no need to forward all the frames that bridge receives, because so the only to the if that is required, only then you can forward it. Otherwise, there is no need. Suppose, because why? So can anybody tell me why it is so? Observe that there is no need to forward all the frames that the bridge receives, because if, see, assume that LAN 1 and LAN 2 are connected by a bridge. So if a frame is sent to a bridge, then what happens? If the destination, if it is within the LAN 1 only, so there is no need to forward it to LAN 2. Okay, there is no need to forward it to LAN 2. So that is what the bridge has to decide. Is it necessary to forward the frame to the LAN 2? So that is not needed. Okay. See, this is the bridges. So bridge is nothing but it is a LAN switch. Okay, LAN switch is nothing but it is a bridge. See, this is one LAN, ABC, it is one LAN, XYZ is another LAN, right? So this is a bridge. This is a bridge. So it is connected to, so it connects two LANs. So when, see here, when a frame from host A is addressed to host B, it arrives on port number 1. Okay, host A, it arrives on port 1. So there is no need for the bridge to forward the frame out over port 1, port 2, because port 2 will take the frame to this LAN. Okay, but the destination is host B. Okay, so since the destination is host B is connected to the same LAN, so the incoming frame has to be copied onto only this port 1. There is no need to copy it onto the port 2, because this frame, if you put it on port 2, it will take the frame to this LAN 2. Okay. So how does the bridge come to learn on which port the various hosts reside? So that is what. So actually, so so can anybody answer this? How the bridge will come to know about which ports are connected to which hosts? Yes, anybody? Based on your knowledge of computer networks, which you have studied earlier. So can you try to answer this? How does the bridge come to learn on which port the various hosts reside? Yes?
Using
See,
a frame
yes?
bits, sir.
Hmm?
Frame bits.
Frame bits. Frame only. See, when we say frame, what the frame header contains? When we say packet, okay, packet header contains IP address. When we say frame, so frame header, what does it contain? Hmm? What a frame header contains?
Source address and destination address, sir.
Source address ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತೀನಿ? What type of address it is? Because IP address is available as a part of packet header. I am talking about frame header. ಈಗ source address ಅಂದ್ರೆ what type of address?
Like source address means way to a data send and way to
ಅಲ್ಲ.
receive
So
data.
whether you mean to say IP address or what?
Yes, sir.
So IP address, you are going to refer it in only packet header. I'm talking, that is why I'm asking about a frame. Okay, when you are talking about frame, so what is there in the frame header? See, frame header is different, packet header is different, transport layer header is different, because different layers have got different headers. Okay, so frame header alli ಏನು ಇರ್ತದೆ? What is there in the frame header? Yes, anybody? So if you know that, so then it answers this question. How does a bridge come to learn on which port the various hosts reside? See, because frame header, it contains the MAC address or the physical address, right? So MAC address or the physical address, correct? Or have you heard about this?
Yes, sir. Yes,
MAC
sir.
address,
Media access control. Yes, sir.
medium access control address. Okay, so frame header will contain so the source MAC address and the destination MAC address. Is it clear? So based on that, it is also called as physical address, whereas IP address is called as logical address. Please remember these points. Okay, IP address is called as logical address, whereas this MAC address is called as physical address. Okay, so now based on the IP address, you are going to determine the MAC address. So using ARP protocol, address resolution protocol, right? That you will study later. So this question, so bridge, how does the bridge come to learn on which port the various hosts reside? Because so the once the frame is delivered here, that frame will contain what? The physical address of the host. The physical address of the host. So based on the physical address of the host, the frame will be delivered to a particular host here, because every host will be containing some physical address. So the physical address is nothing but, so whatever the address that is printed on the NIC card. Okay, NIC, every host is connected to this cable, LAN cable, using NIC card. Okay, so the whatever is the address of the NIC card, that is nothing but the physical address or the MAC address of the. So your host machine, okay, your laptop will be containing MAC address or not? So have you seen it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how many bits are there in the MAC address? You questions ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ನಿಮಗೆ, you should know it. See how many bits are there in the IP address? IPv4 especially. Hello?
32, sir.
32
In
bits.
IPv4.
IPv4 32 bits. So MAC ಅಲ್ಲಿ MAC
48.
address
48.
48 bits. Good. Okay, 48 bits. Right? So ಈಗ IPv6 ಅಲ್ಲಿ how many bits are there?
Bits.
Hmm?
128.
Good. 128 bits. 128 bits. Right. So ಈಗ see IP address, it is logical address. Okay, we call it as logical address, right? So this IP, so you have studied the operating system. So logical address is mapped to physical address. So similarly, so this IP address is mapped to MAC address. IP address is logical address. This MAC address is physical address. So every IP address should be mapped to physical address. So who does it? So it is done by the address resolution protocol, ARP. ARP. Okay. So why IP address is called as logical address? Because it is used just to identify the network in which the host resides. Okay. So using IP address, so we are not going to deliver the packet to the host. Okay. So just to know to which address, to which network the host is connected. So using IP address, we come till the network in which the host is connected. So once you come to that network, so using the physical address, we are going to deliver the packet to the destination host. So that is where the mapping takes place. So IP address to physical address. See, these are the bridges. Now you just see it is just same as switch. Okay, so A, B, C. So A, B, C are connected to port number one. So X, Y, Z are connected to port number two. So now whenever a packet is to be delivered, then what happens? So where it has to be forwarded? Okay. So if suppose A wants to send a frame to X, right? A wants to send a frame to X. So then it checks. So X is connected to port number two. So this bridge will forward it to port number two. Okay. So can the bridge learn this information by itself? Because based on the connection, so it will learn on its own. Okay. So each bridge inspects the source address in all the frames it receives, record the information in the bridges. So entries are made in the table, right? If the bridge receives a frame that is addressed to a host not currently in the table, okay. See now, so if it receives a frame which is not currently addressed in this table, suppose assume that D, host D, so then it is not there in this table, so then it will reject it. Okay, so what it has to do, it is not currently in the table, so forward the frame out of all other ports. That means, so if the destination address, if it is either A, B, C or XYZ, it will forward it to either these ports. If it receives a frame, suppose it is to be delivered to D, but it checks, so D is not at all there here. So then what it will do, it will copy that and forward it to all other output ports except these two, port 1 and port 2. Okay, so forward the frame out on all other ports. Okay, so this is the connection. So these are all the bridges. See, A, B, C, D. So these are all the different LANs. Please remember this. So the strategy works fine if the extended LAN does not have loop. So because looping always creates a problem, because if you have a looping, then what happens? So the frame will be circulating around. So A to B, B to C, B to C, C to A. If there is a loop like this, so then there are chances that the frames keep on rotating inside this loop. Okay, so that is why there should not be any loop. So where is the loop here? Can anybody tell? See here, bridges B4, B1, B4, B6. So B1, B4, B6. So this forms a loop. Okay. So such loops, they are not preferable. Otherwise, what happens? So from this bridge, so B1, B2, B3, these are all bridges. So B1 to B4 it comes. So B4 to B6. So B6 to B1. So the packet keeps, or the frame keeps on circulating along this loop, and it may not reach the destination at all. Okay, so frames potentially loop through extended LAN forever. So that is the problem. Okay, so this is the topology of interconnection of different LANs. So A, B, C, D, these are all the LANs. So they are connected by these bridges B1, B2, B3. Okay, these are all the bridges. But you should ensure that there are no loops. Okay, so how do you ensure that there are no loops? By going for a spanning tree. Okay, so spanning tree you might have studied in your data structures or algorithms, right? So what you have to do is, if you go for a given graph should be converted into a spanning tree. Okay, so then you can be sure that there are no loops. Okay, so given graph should be converted into a spanning tree. So thereby, so you can ensure that there are no loops in your extended LAN, right? Okay, fine. So the session is going to conclude now in another 5 minutes. So if you have any doubts, you can ask now. Yes. So this spanning tree, it is not there because you have already studied. That is not there that is not part of your course. So the next thing that I will be taking is, so this IP, so the IP internetworking. So in the next class, so that is Monday, so we'll be starting with internetworking. So this spanning tree, you just go through. Okay, you just go through it. But what is the advantage of spanning tree? So given graph, if you convert it into a spanning tree, So you can be very well ensured that, so there are no loops in it. There are no loops. So a given graph can always be converted into a spanning tree. So what is a spanning tree? So spanning tree is the minimum tree that interconnects all the nodes, Okay. So there are no loops here in case of spanning tree, right? So any doubts are there? Yes? Any doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So are you making notes of whatever we are discussing, or you are just listening to ಏನು ಹರಿಕತಿ ಕೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ಲಿಕತ್ತೀರೋ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಿಕತ್ತೀರೋ ನೋಟ್ ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಿಕತ್ತೀರೋ
Notes ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರಿ sir.
ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಿಕತ್ತೀರಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ
Yes, sir.
ಸುಮಿತಾ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಎ ನೋಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಯು ರೈಟ್ ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ವೆನ್ ಎವರ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ATM ಸೊ ATM ಪ್ಯಾಕೆಟ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಕೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಪ್ಯಾಕೆಟ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ATM ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಪ್ಯಾಕೆಟ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಆಫ್ ATM
53.
53 bytes. So such things you should remember. Okay. So though they are simple, but if during the interview if you fail to answer, so that will have a big impact. So though they are simple, right? So ATM uses what? Connection oriented or connection less. So it uses connection oriented. So these things you should remember always. Okay. Yes. Any other doubts? Yes. Any doubts are
No, sir.
there? So tomorrow we will be starting with this IP, that is internet working, in the next class, right? Before that, you just go through whatever that is that we have discussed, right? Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
so be sure with this spanning tree, how to convert a given graph into the corresponding spanning tree, that you should know it, right? Okay.
Sir, okay. So what about seminars, sir?
Whatever seminar,
Yes, sir. Seminar ಐತಿ a course seminar.
ಈ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಾಗದ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್ ಈಗೂ ಐತಿ sir.
ಅದನ್ನ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಅಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಯಾರ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನನಗಿನ್ನು.
ನಿಮ್ಗ
For
ಮಾಡ್ಯಾರಿ ಸರ್.
ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ ಅವರು, ಅದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅದು.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ
In a
ಟೈಮ್ ಟೇಬಲ್
timetable,
ನಿಮ್ದೇ ಹೆಸರು
Timetable
ಐತಿ.
ನನಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ಯಾರ ಅದನ್ನ.
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ 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 ಆಯ್ತಾಯ್ತು, ಅದನ್ನ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ತಗೋ ಅದನ್ನ. ದಟ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಪ್ಲಾನ್.
ಎಸ್
okay.
ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಸೊ ಸೊ ಕೀಪ್ ಸಮ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ನ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟೇಶನ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವೆನ್ ಎವರ್ ಯು ಕ್ಲೇಮ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಿವನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಎಸ್ ಸೆಮಿನಾರ್, ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಆದ್ರೂ ಹೇಳೋ ಮುಂದೆ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಪ್ರೌಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಅಂತ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳಿ ಹಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅವನ್ನ. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಸೊ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಫೀಲ್ ಪ್ರೌಡ್ ಅಬೌಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಯು ಡಿಸೈಡ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಫ್ರಮ್ ನೌ ಕೀಪ್ searching for seminar topics from now only, all of you, right? So keep some advanced topics as a part of your seminar. Okay. So in another 1 week, you decide on your topic. Keep searching, right? Is that clear?
ಓಕೆ
Keep
ಸರ್.
searching for some advanced topics because you are in PG. So you should be giving seminar on good topics and you should learn. ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್, ನಿಮ್ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಹೈ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಇವು ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್ ಓದೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸೆಮಿನಾರ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಯು. ಓಕೆ, ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು ರೀಡ್ ದ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್.